There we go. Now I'm live. So let's just wait to see if anybody shows up. Mm. Apologies if anyone heard that. My stomach's rumbly. I should have ate more. It says I have 2 viewers. I posted the StreamYard link in Missing Mods. I will say this though, it was pretty interesting. I was over there the other day, and that's the reason for my title. I was over there yesterday, and I was, for lack of a better term, hammered. I was good and drunk, and then I went live on my own channel and was continued to get hammered, and then had a really interesting conversation with Sims Funk and Cerberus Hex. It was over my argument, my ultimate video game creator argument, and I'm gonna have to have that conversation with them again sometime because holy shit, I don't even want to go back and listen to that. I actually yeeted it because I was so blottoed. I mean, I think I was doing okay. I was definitely in a passive state. But either way, so yeah, being over there at Missing Mods channel can be a blast. It can also be kind of weird, but I would like to point out that I would like to just like challenge people to be as just popping in to tip my hat and then pissing off to make more AI porn. Okay, Barney, you do that. More power to you, buddy. Um, is that your thing now? Is that a lucrative business now? Um, I think it would be funny that if somebody actually did it to. I didn't bring it up when I was over there in Missing Mods channel because she's very incredulous towards like evolution, because she kind of holds this like, you non-believers, like, like evolution and everything. Like I would just like to just like be just as incredulous towards any kind of God or God concept, right? It just as incredulous as she is towards like evolution. Just like, now, fuck off. Reprove translator. I'm just waiting for Jill. I'll put the link in here. For anybody who wants to join. It's nice to see Barney, though, if that really is Barney. I hope that's really Barney. I think that's really Barney. I miss having conversations with Barney. But I did have a nice conversation with when I was drunk. I think it was a fine conversation. There was some, there was obviously some back and forth. There was there was conflict and stuff like that in the conversation I was having with Cerberus and Simus about my argument. But that's not what this is going to be about. Going over there at Missing Mod's channel and then listening to some of these conversations, at least the conversation that was being had there. Wow. Just like, okay, cool. Like she actually thinks that animals, like it's funny because animals are better than humans. Humans aren't animals because animals are better than humans. That's an interesting claim. But the incredulity of which like evolution, like she seems to have a problem with evolution. Like, oh well, that you non-believers, that's all you like. Essentially, like she's saying, like you non-believers, that's all you have. No, and I think like Free to Play was saying the same thing, and I was in agreement with that particular individual that I don't even have to agree with the theory of evolution in any way, and still not accept any kind of God or God whatsoever. So. I just joined. I brought some bananas. Just kidding. Laugh out loud. Yeah, the oh, there we go. We got Iron Man. So we've got
Hello.
Midnight, and we got Peter. Hey, Peter.
Oh, great. Him again.
Yep, it's that guy. It's that Dutchman. So we've got New Jersey Albino, and we've got the Crazy Dutchman. So we're good.
I just came here to overtalk everyone. So
Well, okay, there's only like 3 people in here, so if you're gonna be over
Dude,
talking,
I
then
cannot believe you missed the opportunity, because when somebody pushes like that, when it comes to being that incredulous towards evolution, because the way that she was kind of presenting it was like, oh well, there's this kind of like there's this. She seemed to be implying that there was this substitution that was taking place amongst non-believers, right?
you got someone
Oh, you have,
backstage.
huh?
You got someone backstage.
Yeah. So there's this substitution that's going on between non-believers and believers, and that's when when they start bringing up God, you just go, no, that's absolutely retarded. just start doing that. Just like, oh, this idea of an unseen force that's just out there that always has been and always will be, absolutely ridiculous. Like, oh, that's just as ridiculous as evolution.
well, missing mod will get there. I'm pretty confident.
I'm
of
just
that.
saying,
it'll
you guys
take-
kind of missed it, because I was willing to do it, but you guys were like deep into it, and free to play was really trying to stress the evolutionary kind of thing. I would have just simply stated, well, you seem to be as incredulous towards evolution, as though in an equal sense that you think that I as a non-believer would be incredulous towards an entity like a God existing. So I'm not exactly sure where to go from there. I think that would be a more important conversation to have, or maybe a more substantive conversation to have, because I mean, no matter what you tell her, she's just going to think, well, this is just what these guys think. This is just what they believe, and they're taking it on faith. Just like I take my belief in Jesus Christ or my belief in the Christian God on faith. Right?
I'm still convinced that missing mod wants to learn. Deep down, she wants to learn.
No, don't play that game.
There's
Don't play that.
No,
game.
no,
I would never.
no,
I would
I-
never think to disrespect Missing Mod to think that that's what she wants to learn. She was obviously getting. The pushback from her was very much like anybody with like the most irrational position on why gods can't exist. I could just be just as irrationally incredulous and just be like, no, fuck that, stupid. There's no way that exists, because I think those militant non-believers.
given the correct approach, you can reason with her.
Yeah, but there's
I'm
no
convinced
reason
of
to
that.
really do it through evolution in any way, because evolution doesn't necessarily negate an all-powerful entity. Even a deist can
doesn't.
hold to evolution. So yeah, and that was
Yeah,
brought
it
up.
doesn't.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I asked.
Yeah, she says, I'll never believe evolution. Yes, I don't know why you're a product of it.
But it kind
Missing mod
of does, if you think
already does, but
I
she
mean, think
doesn't
about it.
realize it.
Who gave me the verse? Could you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Who gave me the verse Ecclesiastes on the verse that we're
I
animals?
did.
Yeah,
Did
that
you-
was Peter.
yeah.
You probably got it wrong.
I did. I don't think I got it wrong.
Did you not read Genesis?
There might
1:20?
there might be other Bibles around, Bible versions.
Well, you gotta-
because
well, you gotta be
God's. Yeah, but hold on. There might be
Yep.
other Bible versions around because God's not the author of confusion, so we can't have different translations. Oh wait, we do. No, never mind. So
we
yeah.
do in a bit. And like there's word variations which sometimes can distort the actual Greek text.
That's why I do a show
Or
with
the
Bible
ancient-
scholars who
well,
know a lot
that's-
more about the Bible than I do, and I have 2 people there who can actually read Hebrew and understand it in the way that is what was written back
Yeah,
then,
'cause the
because
first-
they
yeah, 'cause he
studied
had the-
they studied how the Hebrew was spoken back then, which is different from now, which is the same thing with
the
English.
Septuagint because you had the Septuagint translation that was originally in Koine Greek. I think it was in Koine Greek, but
Right.
then they actually found the original manuscripts that were in ancient Hebrew, because that's why like the NRSVUE edition of Genesis 1 doesn't have "in the beginning God began to create that." In the beginning God created the heavens and the heavens and the earth, or the heavens and everything. It says what is it?
And-
It's a rephrasing. They've retranslated it in the NRSVU.
Yeah.
So
And-
it's
and-
really kind of interesting.
one of the guys on the show can actually read and speak Koine Greek.
Yeah, and if you
Which
talk
is
to someone
pretty-
like
pretty fucking amazing.
you talk to Dan McClellan, you can talk to Dr. Kip Davis, you can talk to Dr. Josh. They've all done a lot of
Doc-
that kind of
Dr. Kip is one of the persons who's on the show.
Oh, he's on
I-
on there now?
I like to mess with him a lot because he's usually in chat first, and then I mess with him until he joins.
Yeah, when God began to create the heavens and the earth was complete chaos. The darkness covered the face of the deep, while the wind from God swept over the face of the waters. So that's chapter 1, verses 1 through 2.
There's also a text that where it says that God didn't create the earth as well as it. He said that he shaped the earth, which
Yeah,
would
'cause it says-
imply
well-
that the earth was already there.
Yeah, because it says here, the earth was complete chaos and darkness covered the face of the deep. So the earth was complete chaos, meaning that the earth
Yes.
was something that was of complete chaos. And then God basically shaped it.
Yes.
But it also
So-
says in Genesis 1:26-27, God said, "Let us make man in our image."
Yes,
Mhm.
meaning that that refers back to the divine council.
So
There's the divine council that's
animals
referred to.
were not made in God's image.
According to that, yes.
Right.
Humans would have been made in
So can
there would
you,
have been
can
an
you
imago.
explain to me?
That's where you get the dogma of you get the idea of the imago Dei.
So God isn't powerful enough to make an animal in His own image.
That's a whole different question. Could he do anything? He could do anything.
No, because you already ruled out that if it is in God's image, then it
You're
can't be
going
an
off a-
animal,
you're
and
going off a
that's why.
tangent.
Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
why I'm
There's
asking.
the problem is that there's a presupposition that's already involved within the first chapter of Genesis, and that there is a God that actually exists. So now the question becomes whether or not that God actually exists.
Yeah, but
No.
so you're taking it a little too far. Mr. Sandman is referring to
No,
me,
I'm taking it the most
putting
productive.
up. No, hold on. Mr. Sandman asked who put him to Ecclesiastes 3:18. That was me,
Mhm.
in which God said that we are just animals.
Mhm.
So, and then he said God created man in His own image. That's great,
Well,
but
would
that
seem to
doesn't
be a-
rule out that man is an animal. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, the body, but not necessarily the spirit. That's kind of how Christians would get around it.
There's no evidence
No,
for spirit.
I know,
so-
but I'm talking about a way of like interpreting outside the text in a way that's like dogmatically consistent in some way, but not necessarily comporting to anything in the
But
text.
I agree with you. In order to have this conversation, first we need to figure out whether or not there actually is a God.
Yeah, because the Bible begins with the presupposition that the God actually exists. The God began to create the heavens and the earth. What is the divine council? Because it talks about the divine council. There is the wording there that let us make man in our image. And then then you have a retelling of the narrative once you get past chapter 1 into chapter 2, and I believe it gets somewhere in there in 2. I think it's 2, somewhere between in chapter 2, and then it's down there, and it like there's between 2 verses 1a and 1b or something like that. Anyway, but yeah, there's some contradictions in there, but yeah, either way.
Right.
But Dan McClellan has videos on Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 that are pretty good. Without getting into the theological, because there's the narrative approach, there's a historical approach, and then there's the theological approach, and theological approaches are just kind of weird.
I was muted. My apology, Mr. Salmon. What was your point?
So I think what you're referring to is basically Solomon's observance of humans share the same mortality as animals. Both die. So I don't. It's not. It has nothing to do with him creating us as animals.
Yeah, but it is the case that all of creation is of God, right?
Yeah, all of creation.
So does that mean that God creates everything, therefore God creates evil?
Nope,
Why not?
because
Who
God is
created
not evil.
Who
God is
How
not
can
created
you
evil
have
then?
but how can you have evil if God didn't create for it?
Free will. Those who
Did God-
chose the
but did God
fallen
create-
angels. Yeah, like the fallen angels you're talking about.
Okay, so there was okay, did God create the angels?
He created the angels with free will.
Okay, so he created free will, and free will can bring about choices that are considered evil. How do
Exactly.
evil choices come about?
Free will
Did God know
from your own.
Did God know
you know.
the angels before he created them?
Okay,
Sure.
so he knew that
So
when he was gonna create them.
He created them with the knowledge of them creating evil.
So knowing is not causation.
No, but
Well,
he could
no.
still, if he knew that that's what they were going to do, and he still created them,
Huh?
then
It's up
that
to
makes
them.
him responsible.
Well,
Then that
no,
makes him
no, no,
responsible
no,
for
no,
evil
no.
being here.
Peter, hold on. There's an issue here as to whether or not God is the necessary precondition for all of reality, right? Do you hold to that, Sandman? That God is the necessary precondition for everything. He's that which instantiates and sustains all of reality.
It sustains all of reality. I would no. Well, that's more like a Calvinistic view. Like
No, not really. It's actually brought about in even some evangelical Protestant presuppositional arguments.
yeah, some of them, but we base everything on free will.
Okay,
And
but
free will,
God is the
even to
writer.
the
But
angels.
God is the writer. Okay, so if free will is a choice, yeah.
Free will is a choice. Even Jesus had free
So
will.
you have so you have to have a choice. So let's say you have a video game, and you have a choice to actually, let's say you ever play Grand Theft Auto 5?
Actually, I played a bit of Grand Theft Auto.
Okay, so in Grand Theft Auto 5, or even in Grand Theft Auto,
I think it was 5. I think it was 5.
yeah, but you
I
have the
couldn't
ability
finish it.
to. Okay, so you have a set of circumstances that can occur that in Grand Theft Auto 5. You can pay a prostitute, and then you can take the prostitute into your car, and you can have sex with the prostitute. And after you get done having sex with the prostitute, you can beat the prostitute up, take your money back, and then run them over with your car, and then take the fuck off, right?
Yeah.
Okay, who created that?
Who created that? Somebody created it.
So
The
okay,
gamers,
so
the
the free
programmers.
will. Okay, so free will would be the ability to choose from a particular set of circumstances versus another set of circumstances. The set of circumstances being, I will not get the prostitute, or I will get the prostitute, but after I have my way with the prostitute, I will not beat the prostitute up and get my money back. And then the other choice is to not run them over or to run them over, right?
Right.
But the state of affairs or sets of circumstances are still written in such a way that you can do that, correct?
Well, everything. You can do anything you want.
Correct. So who wrote for
good
it?
analogy, by the way.
So who wrote for it?
Well, what do you say? Well, that's again where you're going with it is like, so you programmed it that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if everything comes from God, and there is a reality, and reality is basically all being written by this entity, and within reality you create characters that have free will choices, and the free will choices are that you can do X, or X, Y, and Z, like I pointed out with the GTA 5 issue. Who wrote for that set of circumstances?
Yeah, I see where you're going with that.
Okay, so God had to conceptualize that state of affairs, right?
All is possible, but
All is possible. Well, God is that which makes all possible, right?
so because he makes you, you'll say, well, he made you that way, right?
No, I'm not talking about making just me. God makes everything. So it's not just about making an individual. It's about making all of reality. It's about making the entire environment.
So what you're coming to is, what you're trying to say is that he made us this way.
No,
Therefore,
I didn't say that he made us this way. I'm asking you about the conceptualization of the choices that can actually be chosen.
So So what are you saying? Like choices are
You do understand that God had to think up that situation in order to write for it, in order to put it in the game, for lack of a better.
okay. Continue.
Well, the only way that would you agree that the only way that in Grand Theft, so like if I'm playing Super Mario Brothers, and and Super Mario is my player character, and I'm sitting there and I'm playing Super Mario, and I rescue Princess Peach. Is there any part of the game that allows me to grape Princess Peach?
Well, let's say you could.
No, I'm asking you. Is there anything part of the game that allows me to grape Princess Peach? Yes or no?
I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know the game, but let's say you could.
You've never. Okay, but how could you be able to?
Well, because it's
Do you
my
think that?
choice.
So do you think that there's emergent states of affairs that can just
Mhm.
happen as a logical implication to God creating free will?
It's what it is. I mean, free will.
So God doesn't have to conceive of evil in order for evil to be a necessary element of free will.
So I know you're getting somewhere with this,
Well, yeah, I'm getting to the ontology of the entity.
and I think where you're going with this is, since God created you with
No, he created everything. Not since he
right,
created me, he created everything.
but okay, but we're talking about you now specifically.
No,
So
no, no. Well, I'm talking about creating everything. God has to
everything,
be
but
the
now
un-
we're talking
God-
about us.
No, God is not just us, but also the states of affairs in which we can have free will in which to react or to play within that particular state of affairs.
Right, but given through laws and
Okay,
what you
what would
can
laws-
and what you cannot do, right? So
Okay,
like now, in order for you to
That's
exercise
not
your
what I-
free will,
that's not what I'm talking about. Not what you can and cannot do. I'm talking about the initiation of things that can be. So in order to not do something, there must be something that you can do, correct?
so you're saying he created evil is what you're trying to say. Like it's a choice that he created. You could choose this or you could choose that.
Not the choice, but the actual state of affairs. He conceptualized the evil.
No.
How not? What created that state of affairs?
We did
How?
the way we were made.
But how did the state of affairs occur?
I don't know.
How is it that I get?
However they occurred. Now how we were made and what free will we have
So what you're saying is
and what
there is an
choices we
it.
have.
Okay, so there is an is that can happen, which is there is the ability to actually grape someone, which would mean having sex with someone without their consent. How is that actually conceptualized by us and not by the God itself? How does that happen in the game?
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. So if we go back to the Garden of Eden, right? They were told, you read this, right?
Hmm.
Give me a sec. They were told not to eat of the tree.
Sure, that's one particular set of circumstances
Okay.
or a circumstance.
Now, how did this all come about?
Well, you actually have to write for the ability for one, there is a thing called the tree and it contains fruit. And then you write for the ability for your particular creation to either choose to either partake of the tree or not partake of the tree. And then say that you cannot partake of that particular tree, knowing that you've written for the state of affairs that one can actually partake of the tree. So you
Mhm.
wrote for the reality in which the fruit of the tree can be consumed, but now you're writing for don't consume of the tree, meaning that the reality exists that one is capable of committing the act of eating something that is of a tree that they're not supposed to consume of, but you still had to write all the sets of circumstances that lead up to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the game. You can't do it unless the programmer programs it. Yeah.
So what's your take on that? That he created us with a side of
Not whether or not he created us, it's whether or not God conceptualizes evil.
okay.
God is the ontological primary, meaning there is one entity. That entity is the ontological primary. It instantiates all that is, and then whether or not whatever is thought up by it. And then it sustains that reality, meaning it's not even just about the act of grape, but it's also the way that human beings behave or the way that they feel if they commit grape, and the victim of grape and how they feel. God has to sustain and write for that, because it's not just about the scene, it's about the experience. It's the experiential knowledge. God isn't just propositionally knowing all things. God experientially knows all states. You do understand that knowledge isn't just propositionally knowing X, therefore Y, or what an X is, it's also experiential.
Go ahead.
Well, you do understand the difference between propositional knowledge and experiential knowledge?
Sure.
Okay. Tell me.
Well, to experience evil or to create evil, two different things. Like if I create something, then, that kind of goes back to what I was saying about free will.
But free will's only
something-
the choice, but free will's only about the choice of choosing whether or not a particular state of affairs can be acquiesced or not.
So
The
if we're-
acquiescence of doing that particular, or being capable of doing that possibility, would have to be written for. Yeah.
Yeah, I know where you're going with this. Not what I believe, but
Well, I don't know if you've actually really thought of it. It's the idea of like the God being all good, and if the God is all good, then why do we have these moral evils? In which you seem to basically say, well, it has to be evil. It has to come about from free will, but free will is simply nothing more than a choice to either choose one particular capability over another capability. The
I would
capability
say,
of,
okay, maybe evil is what you're using as a word rather than disobeying his commandments. Now, what comes out
No.
of disobeying commandments?
no. You would still have to be able to, whether or not it's disobeying a commandment, you still have to say whether or not that there's an actual
Obedience.
state of affairs.
Mm.
Yeah, obedience would be basically staying within line within the code of the game, in which there's other things that you can choose to do that would basically put you in the realm within the game of being disobedient, versus as long as you follow these particular parts of the game, you will be considered obedient. So you're following the game, and then you have a status score up there in the upper right hand corner saying you're being obedient. But
Okay,
that doesn't
let's go with
change the
that.
fact. But it doesn't change the fact that within the reality of the game, something has written for the ability to not be obedient and choose another a set of circumstances, or a circumstance in which you are no longer obedient. So God has to write for that circumstance where so you want to be obedient, so you don't murder. But now you go, okay, but there is the ability to murder within the realm of the creation. So your free will allows you to either not murder, or it allows you to, well, the reality allows you to murder, but your free will choice would basically be whether or not in the game you choose to participate in that act, or to simply not do that within the game. But you can still do it in the game, which means something conceptualized murder as a part of the video game, in order for you to choose to be able to do it within the video game. Meaning now, along your path of obedience, now all of a sudden your score can drop based on your ability to now no longer be obedient, but choose this other thing to do, which is considered not in the category of obedience.
Okay. So you're saying that he created it as a side choice.
Oh, he conceptualized it.
He conceptualized it.
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't that make him a god of, an author of evil? And
Yes,
and so, like, could God be, like,
he's the ontological primary. There can be no other ontologies without him.
this is what you think?
I don't know. This is what I've argued for. I have a full on argument for it.
You have a full on. Do you have that somewhere, like a video or
Yes.
something?
Yeah, I can actually read it. I actually have it up. Let me pull it up here. Grab my glasses here. We were just talking about this the other day.
On the stream?
Nope. I can't really put it up on the screen because I only have it on. I posted it on a friend of mine's Discord, but I'll read it, and then if I get a chance, I can copy and paste it into the chat. But even in the side chat, that's limited to characters. It will cut stuff off, which I've seen it do. Okay, so premise 1, if God is the necessary precondition for all reality, then no aspect of reality, including moral conditions, can exist apart from his will and nature. Explanation, this premise expresses that if God is the ontological ground of all being, then nothing, including evil, can exist or even be possible unless it is within the scope of what God instantiates and sustains. There is no ontological independence from God under this view, meaning that there can't be any other ontologies. There's no conceptualizations, no nothing, right? Because you start with God and then everything derives from God. P2, if God instantiates and sustains all of reality, then every state of affairs, including those labeled quote unquote evil, exists by God's active will and continuous upholding, meaning because he's sustaining it. Explanation, this eliminates the possibility that evil is merely allowed. For any state of affairs to continue existing, it must be actively upheld by God. This includes all events, conditions, and experiences, good or evil. P3, if God is omniscient, then God knows all things, both propositionally and experientially, including what it is to like to commit and suffer every evil act, because he has to write for your feelings. So he has to write for dread. He has to write for fear. He has to write for pleasure. He has to write for all of it. P3a, if God is timeless and omniscient, then he would have experiential knowledge of all possible states of affairs prior to instantiating all reality. Explanation, God's omniscience is not required or developed. He doesn't learn. Therefore, he knew in full what every evil act would feel like before choosing to instantiate a reality in which it would occur. P4, therefore, God necessarily wills, upholds, and experientially knows all evil conditions in the reality he chose to instantiate. Explanation, given the preceding premises, evil isn't something foreign to God's system. It's embedded within the framework he chose, created, and maintains with full knowledge of every consequence. P4a, even if evil is a privation, a quote-unquote lack of God, that privation is instantiated within beings who exist only by God's will and are sustained by his power. Explanation, if someone insists evil isn't a thing, quote-unquote, but a quote-unquote lack, that lack still occurs in a real being, and that being's existence is dependent on God. So the quote-unquote absence of God is still something God sustains as a condition in the creation. P5, a being who knowingly instantiates, sustains, and experientially knows morally depraved states of affairs cannot be morally innocent with respect to those states. Explanation, if any other agent, like a software designer, created a system where rape and murder are not only possible but felt, and sustain that system knowingly, we would call them morally responsible. To claim God is exempt is special pleading. P5a, a being who chooses to instantiate a world where it both knows and sustains experiences of evil cannot be perfectly morally good. Explanation, moral perfection requires no complicity in evil. Choosing this world, knowing the depth of its suffering, and sustaining its moment by moment makes God morally entangled, not morally perfect. Conclusion, therefore, a God who is the necessary precondition of all reality, instantiates and sustains all that exists, and is perfectly morally good, cannot exist as traditionally defined. Explanation, the traditional view of God, necessary, omniscient, omnipotent, and morally perfect, leads to an internal contradiction when confronted with the nature of evil. One or more attributes must be denied, or the traditional conception must be abandoned.
Right. So, do you believe in free will?
Not necessarily, but Christians do. And again,
Right, but
if and I can grant you free will for the sake of the argument, where free will is just simply a choice to either choose to do X or to choose to not do X. But in order to choose X or to not do X, X must be first programmed into the system in order for X to either be chosen to be able to do or to not do. And which means God had to conceptualize the X that one can choose to do or not do.
Well, I mean, it depends how you see this now. You know, a misuse of free will equates to, let's
It's not
say,
a misuse of free will isn't a misuse of free will. It's not a misuse of free will. Free will is a part of the game where one can actually choose X, but X is something they can choose to do, or they can choose to not do it. So in order for free will to exist, the choices to do whatever you want to do have to first be in place in order for free will to take place. So in order for me to eat a fruit or to not eat a fruit, it must be the case that there is a fruit in which I could actually eat. Then I can actually incorporate my free will to either eat of that fruit or not eat of that fruit. So that's all free will is doing, is just basically saying there is X, and as a player, I can either do X or not do X. Now, do I need to do X to proceed in the game, or do I not need to do X in order to proceed in the game in a particular light? Like I said, you have a game where as long as you don't choose the wrong thing, you can proceed along a path where your obedience score stays high, but if you choose the wrong thing because it's allowed within the game, your obedience score now drops.
Okay, now let me give you another angle of this. So we have commandments, right? That you read in the Bible.
Which ones?
Whatever God has told Adam and Eve, don't eat of this. It's a commandment, right?
Correct. That would be based on the state of affairs in which he's programmed a world in which he makes a tree, and he's created it so that human beings can partake of fruit, but he says, don't eat of that fruit, meaning that he's already written for the capability of human beings being able to eat fruit. But now he's saying, don't eat of this fruit, meaning that he's written for states of affairs or sets of circumstances in which human beings could eat of the fruit or don't have to eat of the fruit.
Right, but that can, sorry to interrupt. So that's not necessarily in the programming. So if I ask you a question, when did evil start? What would you answer me, according to what you know?
Well, ontologically, the evil would be the written state of affairs that happens if someone does the opposite of what God intends, but that would only become what it is within the programming of the game, if it is the case that in the game that is evil.
So can the Father say, I forbid you from eating this fruit as a commandment? There's no evil anywhere. Could that possibly happen? And then
the ontology is that the evil does actually exist, because if they do eat it, then it's considered evil. So it's automatically programmed in the game, right?
No, that's you're making that up now.
Nope.
This is just something that you can use, but I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying, let's say I give you a commandment.
Wait, do you think that the evil can only exist once the act takes place?
Let's say that's after breaking a commandment. In other words, because God created everything good, right? Everything good, meaning good. There's no evil. Create everything good.
That's not possible. If the tree contains the knowledge of good and evil, then the knowledge of good and evil is created by God.
But you have to understand what that means. So like if you have commandments or orders, let's say, and you are told not to do something, that doesn't mean evil exists presently when I give you that commandment.
No, the only thing that evil is the choice that someone can do in a game where the set of circumstances is labeled as evil and then knocks the obedience score down.
Right, but you're presupposing that evil already existed, while I'm saying
No,
That
I'm not
maybe-
presupposing that evil already exists. I'm presupposing.
Well, you
I'm not
said earlier
presupposing.
that. Well, you
I'm
said earlier
saying-
that he created you, so he
That's not a
created you
presupposition.
with the choices.
That's an ontological. No, that's an ontological necessity based on God being an ontological entity which instantiates and sustains all of reality. So the only
Okay,
way
so-
if evil choices, quote unquote, evil choices are a real thing, and God instantiates and sustains all of reality, then he has to instantiate and sustain the real choices that are evil.
But that's the thing now. Maybe evil was not around until you didn't obey.
Well, but then that would be an emergent factor. That would be an emergent. That would be an
Can we
emergent state
really?
game.
But we would have to know God and how he functions in his
Do you think that
totality,
God-
right?
Sure, but that's exactly my point. The ontological function of God is that it is the necessary precondition for all of reality. So can there be evil within an environment that God creates separate
No,
from his own?
No,
separate from
no,
his own-
I don't. Me personally, I don't believe that. I
Well,
don't believe that personally.
But why wouldn't you believe that? There is evil, right?
I don't believe that because like I said, telling you not to do something, like for example,
But that's not my point.
if
Telling
you
me
tell
not to
your
do something,
child,
telling me not to do something presupposes that there is something that one can do, which means something wrote for the ability for one to do a particular thing. And that particular thing being what someone can do, even though God is telling them not to do it, is still an evil that is written for within the program. God is just simply
but-
telling he's just telling the NPC or the player,
right?
don't choose that, but he already wrote for it.
But how do
So
you know
it
he
can
already wrote for it?
Because it can happen.
Because no. It can happen if it happens at that moment that you.
So it's an
focus-
emergent. So the reality can just, the reality of evil can just pop into existence the minute someone chooses to do an X, even though that X was never instantiated or sustained, is not being sustained at all.
Well, to disobey his commandments is to now
But to
bring
disobey a
in-
command means to disobey something that can happen, which would mean if I can do X, X
Right.
has to be something that's instantiated within reality for one to do in order for one to choose to not be able to do it.
So
Now
like
you
if-
seem to be saying that someone can choose to not do something, and then that would just naturally create an evil state of affairs in which the consequences of doing said act or the act in itself was never written for.
So remember when he says to Adam, so now because of your disobedience, you will toil
Yes,
the soil, and you will.
I don't think you're getting my point. It got
Maybe
so,
I'm not, but I mean,
well, yeah, because Adam has now been disobedient. Why is Adam disobedient? Because Adam chose to do something that made him disobedient. So
Right, but
because
hold on.
so there was a state of affairs that Adam could either choose to do or not to do. He was commanded to not do it. But then through Eve and through his whatever, his complicence or whatever, did it anyway. So once he did it,
right?
then he became of the status of disobedience. This would need to be, in order for that status of disobedience to exist within the realm of an ultimate video game creator creating this reality, his status as disobedience would have to be instantiated and sustained for.
And now sin entered the world. So we can look at it your way, or we can look at it my way.
You can't have evil enter a world in which God is the ontological necessity, because that would require that evil is an ontology that can enter into something where God is not the ontological primary.
Well, your belief is that he created it as a program. I get your program example.
My argument is that based on this concept of a God,
Mhm.
it's not my belief, it's based on an argument. If God is conceptualized as being something that is the necessary precondition for all of reality, that instantiates and sustains all of reality, then it is the case that reality is instantiated and sustained by God.
Yeah, which brings you to your belief.
That's not my belief. That's an argument. It's a hypothetical. I don't
It's
have
an
to
argument.
hold.
It's an argument, and my argument is
Yes, you don't have to believe something to do it, to present it.
Or if once you break commandments, now evil enters the world. So now he
No,
now
but that's a
created-
problem. Now you're appealing that evil is a thing that can enter within the system. How did evil as an ontology enter into the system if God is the necessary precondition for all ontologies?
Right. Could you tell me like your idea of what evil is?
It doesn't matter. Do you think ontology is a thing?
What do you mean it doesn't matter? Why wouldn't it matter?
Well, if God is the necessary precondition for all things that are, and evil is a thing that is, then
But you're
wouldn't God
clinging-
necessarily
you're-
be a thing that is?
So you're clinging to, like, for example, you're clinging to what you're saying about, it has to be there for you to choose. Hold on.
There would have to be, yeah, if you have the set of, you have the game, and the game allows you to choose X. So in this particular case, like you brought up, the tree. And so you have the tree and it has the fruit. And then God commands them, don't eat of the tree. So in order for them to not do something, the tree has to exist. If the tree doesn't exist for them to consume, there's no reason to give them a not eat of the tree, right? Am I correct? If there's no tree, there's no reason to tell them to not eat of it. Correct? Are you there? Can people still hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay. If the tree is there, if the tree wasn't there, then there would be no reason for this command. So the only reason there is the command, do not eat of the tree, is if the tree is there with the fruit in order for them to eat, if they would eat it. So they have now, because they have this ability that's written, that's instantiated and sustained by them, that they can eat fruit. And here is this tree that is made by God that they could eat of it. Now God is saying, do not eat of it. So the only way that they now have the choice of committing the evil of eating, of disobeying God, is because the tree is now there in order for them to make the choice. That's what I'm talking about. I think he had to step away. Anyway, how's it going, sir?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Just got done eating tacos.
Tacos.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. My mic was off.
Oh, it's what I was wondering because you were really quiet. So.
So what I asked was, I said, is it possible that once you disobey, evil starts? Let's go with that. Is that possible?
Once you disobey, then evil starts.
Right.
Well,
Like
if
you
think
fall.
that
Now
evil-
you're in
if-
fallen state.
okay. So what is evil in order for it to start once disobedience occurs?
Well, now evil is you being how should I say, disconnected from God.
How do you become disconnected?
Absence, corruption, distortion. Like
How does that happen within an ultimate video game creator's world?
It doesn't.
Okay, so the only way that you could actually have corruption would be, let's say, the entity playing on the idea that he could just kind of like corrupt things if he wanted to. Because again, you're saying that there is a state of affairs, there's a set of circumstances, there's a circumstance that would occur if a person now has the choice to choose to
Mhm.
eat of a fruit. And so once that person has the capability, they've always had the capability of eating fruits, but
Yes.
now God designs for a tree and then says, don't eat of the fruit, knowing that they have the capability of committing of eating of the fruit, then
Right.
says, don't eat of the fruit. Then they eat of the fruit. Now evil exists. Are you saying that the designer of the game did not know how that was going to play out?
Oh, well, that has nothing to do with whether he knew. It's a question to see your obedience.
Oh,
Would you
well, it's
obey?
Well, no, we're talking about the ontology of whether or not the entity is conceiving of an evil in order for the evil to be something that can actually take place.
Well, I mean, God chooses at that moment and says, "Okay, now you disobeyed me. Now,
He chooses at that moment, or he always knew.
no, that he knew he's all knowing. We know that.
Okay, but does he know all? But does he know all propositionally, experientially? In what way?
In every way.
Okay, so then he would know what it is to commit that evil.
But hold on. He knew, but whose choice was it?
It doesn't matter. He made the conditions for choice.
He made the conditions for choice, but you're saying
But the choice-
our argument now is, did he actually create from the beginning both evil and good?
No, I'm saying that in the mind, God is the instantiation, and he's the sustainer. And so you can have no other ontologies other
With
than
free
God.
will, because which you don't believe.
Yeah, but within this framework,
Okay, well, that kind of throws
it
everything
doesn't
off.
matter.
Right?
It doesn't matter whether I believe it or not. You keep making that mistake. This is a hypothetical. Doesn't matter if I believe it or not. I don't even believe in the God to begin with. This is an argument that goes into the concept of the entity in and of itself, and whether or not it logically follows that if God is a necessary precondition for all that exists, and he's that which instantiates and sustains all of reality, how does evil now come into play? It's a problem of evil argument. It's a problem of suffering argument.
My belief is disobeying the commandment.
But
Now-
disobeying the commandment is a conceptualization of the entity.
And because he knows, you're going to say, well, he did it. He put it there. It existed.
He conceived of the reality. He conceived of it like the GTA 5 programmer conceived of the ability to have sex with a prostitute, beat the prostitute up, take the money, and run the prostitute over and take the fuck off.
Right.
He wrote for the state of affairs.
Okay.
So he conceived of the evil.
So he conceived
thought
of
it
the
up.
evil.
He thought of the evil as a set of circumstances, as a
Okay.
consequence of them choosing to not do something. So
Okay.
he had to think that up.
And if he did, but never allowed it, but then allowed it, what happens then?
No, that's
Because
not
of your free will disobeying his commandment.
That doesn't matter. It's the fact that the God, being an all good God, thought of evil.
So the good God thought of evil.
And he experiences it. He's all knowing, which means he knows what it is to experience that disobedience. He knows what it is to experience grape. He knows what it is to experience the exhilaration of a grapist doing what they're doing and the dread and the fear of the victim. He's doing all of it. He's sustaining it.
Okay, let me go with
wrote it
your
all.
your analogy. And so let's continue from here. So now what? Let's go to other examples. Like, so okay, he created it, let's say.
Mhm.
Now what?
God is not all good.
So God is not all good because
Because he conceptualizes evil.
and do you have to fall into evil?
Evil is the thing that he creates.
But is it something you have to reach out and grab?
It's
Or
a
live
natural
by?
state it's a part of the state of affairs in which God is necessary for.
No, he didn't create Adam and Eve in a fallen state.
He did. He automatically
didn't.
planned for it. He automatically wrote for it.
Well,
He
no,
wrote
he's
for the
not. He's
possibility
not the
of
author.
the fallen
He's
state.
not the author.
Whoa, stop. The fallen state already existed as a possibility within his written program. That was the whole point of them choosing the tree or not.
No.
You can't
No.
choose an environment within a game where you proceed where there's nowhere to proceed to. If
Mm.
I create a game where somebody can choose something that's the wrong thing to choose, but there's nothing there that actually makes it wrong, or that's not a kind of thing, then there's nothing there. It's a misnomer. It's not wrong. It's just a non-happenstance. They ate the tree and then nothing
Oh
happens.
yeah, I hear you.
Wait, I think we might be making it more complicated than it needs to be. Did God know everything from the start?
That was already
God's
there.
all knowing.
You go
That's
ahead,
what
sir.
we know.
I'll mute
Oh,
you
yeah.
now.
So God's all knowing. And then he chose to make this world.
Right.
Right.
So if he allowed evil in the example of Jay,
Well, this wouldn't be allowed. This is him choosing it.
no, choice is up to us. It's not up to him.
No. He made this world knowing what would happen exactly. He chose to do it.
Knowing is
Therefore,
not
it happened.
causation. Yeah, no, it's not causation. We cause.
Yeah, I didn't say it's causation.
Right.
Knowing isn't causation. Just knowing that it would happen in the world doesn't cause the world to happen.
Mhm.
Making the world, knowing what will happen, means you chose the world and then it happened. As long as God knows it and he chose it, he's completely responsible for it. That's what he wanted.
No.
So does God do things he doesn't want?
God is all good.
Okay. Does
there's
he
an
do things
easy-
he doesn't
sir,
want?
Sir, there's an easy way to prove your point.
Well, it's already
Because
proven.
Yeah, no, but according to Christian doctrine. So, is there free will in heaven?
Yes.
Is there evil in heaven?
We're talking about the beginning, right? We're not talking
No, we're talking about heaven. We're
No,
talking
Peter's
about
talking about
heaven.
something
There's no one in heaven. So we're not talking about the heaven of Genesis. We're talking, or
No,
where they were.
We're talking about heaven now.
Heaven
Are
now?
there people in heaven? Yeah, are there people in heaven?
No, there are no people in heaven except for Mary, her son, and the Father and the Holy Spirit.
Okay, so there are people in heaven because
There's nobody
Mary's
in heaven
people,
because
right?
judgment, second coming, has not.
Is
Judgment
Mary's
has not come.
Mary's not people? Mary's not people?
Mary is an exceptional case.
Is she people?
She was born people, born by parents.
Great.
Yes.
Does she have free will in heaven?
Does she have free will in heaven? Well, free will in heaven now is once you're there, it's this issue is not our issue anymore.
It's a yes or no question. Does she have free will in heaven?
No. Meaning
No.
it doesn't go to that point, is what I'm saying. That
Okay,
whether or
so
not
she
you have
doesn't
free
have
will
free
in
will
heaven.
in heaven.
No.
So
So because if you had free will,
is there evil? Is there evil in heaven?
hold on, Hex. There's no evil in heaven, and
Well,
It's
I'm
not me.
Hex. I'm Peter.
Yeah.
I'm Peter.
sorry, Peter. I keep mixing you up.
Yeah, no problem.
So yeah,
To me, that's actually a compliment, but never mind.
I keep looking at the wrong avatar. I thought
because
Hex
it's not animated when we talk.
yeah,
But so
yeah, exactly.
There's no free will. There's no free will in heaven, but is there evil in heaven?
No evil in heaven.
Okay, so God could have created an environment without free will and evil and think that was a good thing because Mary is special and she's the only one in heaven. So therefore, that's the point that Rex was making.
No, it's
God
not.
could have created.
It's not what I was
God could have
making.
created. Well, God could have created a different world in which there was either no free will or no evil, in order to there be no evil.
So the thing about free will in heaven and ultimate heaven is something that I can look into.
You're missing the point.
But here's the
Go
thing.
there, you're missing the point. Yeah, but
Maybe-
you're missing the point. If
Well, that is not
that's
the
the start
point.
of your sentence.
Continue.
So, God created both this earth and the heaven you just described, correct?
Yes.
So he could have created this world according to the same rules as the heaven you just described, correct?
I don't know, honestly.
You don't know?
I don't know. Did he create the heavens
So-
the way he created the earth? The same way, you said?
So if he could create the heaven in this way,
Mhm.
could he have created the earth in the exact same way?
Could he have created?
Yes.
Now, when you say could he have created the earth, could you go into more?
Could he have
detail about-
created the earth in the exact same circumstances as the heaven you just described? That's an easy yes or no question if your God's omnipotent.
He means, could he make an earth without evil and without free will? Is what he's asking.
Yes.
Could he make an earth without evil and free will?
Yeah?
No. Without free will, no. Or with free will.
Why not? Why not?
Did you say with free will or without free will?
Without.
Oh, no, not without.
Why not?
Well, because then, I mean, then you can start pointing the fingers. Like who was it that said, well, then, we put the blame on him. He did this.
No.
It was me. Yeah, no, you can totally put the blame on him.
If we didn't have free will,
It's getting
we
sidetracked
couldn't
by
do
Peter's
evil.
thing, though.
Yeah,
If you have no free will,
so there would be no finger to point, right?
Well, how could you point a finger? Would it be your fault?
If there's no evil, there wouldn't be a finger to point at the one who created evil or the one who was responsible for evil, right?
And again, you have to understand what evil is.
It's the
According
thing
No,
God
you
chose.
don't. If you don't have free will and you don't create evil, you don't have to know what evil is in order to have no evil.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. I don't know what to answer you.
I know where you're going.
You're going in like hypotheticals and
No, I'm not going into hypotheticals.
No, I could sit here too and say, well, God...
You're describing a heaven. In heaven, the God's most coveted people, aka Mary, is there. Mm-hmm. She does not have free will, and there is no evil.
It's not the free will
Could
that
he
you
have?
think.
Could he have given humans the exact same circumstances on Earth?
Well, let me explain the free will in heaven.
If he's omnipotent, the answer would be yes.
So
if he's not omnipotent,
if you had free will in heaven, okay, it would function perfectly because the soul is basically fully aligned with God. So your free will, like if you really look at it, like because you're so aligned,
you get a new soul. So you get a new soul.
You get a new body.
Not a new soul?
No, your soul remains.
That would mean that you take the soul that you have on earth, which is already perfectly aligned with God, so you wouldn't commit any evil. So you're just
Yeah, well, that's not something that we believe that we become. I mean, it's a constant work. It's not something that you eventually reach and then you just sit back and wait for the day. It's I don't know. Have you read the Bible?
Twice, and currently reading it for the third time.
Okay, and so you have to understand the passages and the verses to understand or to answer some of your questions.
Actually, to ask you a question, I wouldn't, but
because heaven is like a union with God. It's basically reaching what we call theosis. Theosis is like God-like, not,
I wasn't talking about a union with God. I was talking about the soul you just said. That
right,
is
we take our souls
in perfect alignment with God. And this soul, you said, doesn't change from the soul that we have on earth. So we have exactly the same soul on earth and in heaven. If that's the case, then the soul on earth aligns perfectly with God, so we wouldn't commit evil even though we have free will. And this is what you said, because if we would have free will in heaven, we would still commit no evil because our soul is in perfect alignment with God.
It's what happens after the resurrection. If you understood the Bible,
okay, yes, the resurrection means the resurrection. Right. You said the resurrection makes it so we get a new body, but we don't get a new soul.
Right,
and the soul is responsible. And the soul, you said, is responsible for not committing evil when we're in heaven because it's perfectly aligned with God. So the body doesn't matter. We can just dismiss the entire body.
Yeah, hold on. But that's when you're in heaven. And so now when you resurrect...
But you said the soul in heaven is the exact same soul that you have on earth. So it's not just in heaven.
The soul,
it's both
right? Because
on
the soul
earth
never dies.
and in heaven.
The soul never dies.
Yes. So you have the exact same soul on earth, which is perfectly aligned with God. You take that to heaven, where it's still perfectly aligned with God. You just get a new body, which doesn't matter if it's aligned with God, because it's the soul that matters whether or not it aligns with God.
Mhm.
And the soul is
How can
responsible
nothing
for
not align
committing
with God?
evil. Yeah, the soul is responsible for committing evil, and because it's perfectly aligned with God in heaven, you're not going to commit evil, even if you had free will. So that same soul
The only way
on
that you
earth
have the only way
would-
you have anything that doesn't align with God is based on my position was that if God as the ontological primary made it to not align with you or to not align with him.
Yeah, I'm
But
confused
that's
because
fine. That's fine. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jay, let him cook.
Yeah,
He's
because-
trying to tell Sandman what I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Or
Cool.
something. I
All
don't know.
right. I'll shut the fuck up. Go ahead.
No, I'm just asking a question because he put in more.
Okay, well,
information,
you hold
so
your question
I'm-
a second. Let's go back to what I was doing before you interrupted it.
Yeah. Go
So
ahead.
I pointed
Go ahead.
out how since God knows everything, he chose the world. He chose this world exactly. He knew exactly what was going to happen, and he chose to make it anyway. So he is responsible for it. He wanted it to happen.
You believe that?
Yeah. Like if
Wait a minute.
all those
It's an internal critique. It doesn't matter if he believes it or not. If he's going to asking you a question that goes to an internal critique,
what I was saying,
well, I have to
all
know
those
where
things,
he's coming from.
all
Too.
those-
Are you
if all those basic
Calvinist?
things hold,
it
you
doesn't matter.
Calvinist?
It doesn't. Oh my God, dude! It doesn't matter if he actually.
No, I'm just
believes it or not.
sidetracking here. I just want to know what his theology is.
It doesn't
well,
matter.
we'll talk about
It
my
doesn't
theology
matter.
after. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can do
I'll
that.
speak for
later.
me, thanks. Let me speak for me, guys.
All right, I'm just
That's
saying.
my
this is-
style. Let's let
no,
my mouth
just-
talk for me.
I'm just saying he did this to me a couple times. And
Yeah,
asked me
but
whether or not
I
he
know how to
did
handle it. We can
Okay.
talk about my theology after.
Go ahead. Oh yeah, it's not my channel. I'll just be missing mod and just sit here in the corner and shut up.
Oh no, you become missing mom.
My
Peter, why do
theology,
you gotta
Peter.
still bully me?
Yeah.
You can't be missing bar, but you will still look less pretty.
I could have literally
Ew.
any theology on the planet, and the argument would be the same. There is no reason to know about the theology currently. So, do you disagree with my assessment?
Pretty much.
Based on what? Is there another precondition that I'm unaware of that would
I
change
don't
it?
know. Just go more into specifics.
No, I gave everything that's necessary. He knows everything, so he knows what would happen. He
Right.
made this world, and then he chose to do it anyway. So this is what he wanted.
Okay, so this is what he wanted. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is what? What does this prove?
He wants evil. He's responsible for evil.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. So you also believe that he wants evil.
There
Okay.
was an implication there automatically. It's interesting how he didn't read the application. But okay.
If he wants the world as it is, then yeah, he wanted the evil because that's how the world is.
Is anyone in here Christian?
That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, dude.
No, I'm just asking.
I could be a Hindu or a Buddhist or a Christian or an atheist.
I mean, I was a
the argument's the same.
I was a
The
former.
argument's the same. I'm asking a question.
I'm a former Christian. What does it matter? And according to the last conversation over at Missing Mods, not all Christians are right. So
That's right.
Doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
but it doesn't matter. And again, when engaging with Cerberus's position here, if you're talking about some kind of hypothetical that goes to an internal critique, it doesn't matter what he actually holds to or not. You're just engaging with the concept.
Right. Okay, so you're saying so he created it. He created evil. Therefore he's evil.
Well, is it evil to choose evil?
Is it evil to choose evil?
Yeah, to literally make it. Is that evil?
Well, it depends on your definition of God. Obviously not for you.
No, I'm talking about asking you. I'm asking
Well,
you.
not
so
in my Not in my assessment, no.
So it's not evil to choose evil, in your definition.
But we're talking about God now.
Well, he's the one doing the choosing. Well, that's why I'm
Well,
asking
this is what you're saying.
Yeah, sure. But it could be X. Right? Is it evil for X to choose evil?
Well, again, God to choose evil.
I mean, you can put God in there if you want. You believe
Yeah, well,
you
if we
believe in
start-
objective morality, right?
But here's the thing, right? So, like, if we're going to start pulling things out and driving this in a certain direction, obviously, then what are you going to say?
Wait, define pulling
conclusions are we
things.
going to come to? We're going to come to, well,
Define pulling things. It's just like three basic things that I know you believe because you said them all with Jay.
which is?
That God knows everything. God created this world, and there is the assumption in there of you talking that God does what he wants.
God could will it.
Sure, yeah, but that doesn't
Because
bear
of-
on the argument at all.
Because of the by not following his commandments, right?
Which is
So
he
he wills
chose.
it.
He chose for people not to follow his commandments.
So he wills it.
I-
Okay.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
So, for example,
He wills evil. Is that evil? Is it evil to will evil?
is it evil because he allows it to?
But no, he
show-
chose it and he wills it. Right. That you
Well,
can
he
you
has
can
to
ask a
choose
third
it at some
question.
point. Yeah, of course. For some point, he has to say, "Well, okay, you know what? I'm going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah."
Yeah, I'm not even asking about that. I'm talking about the very basics. In the beginning.
And you're going to say, "Oh, you see how evil he is?"
Is
But-
that why? No,
but-
I'm
but
asking
here-
you. I'm asking you, is it evil to choose evil?
It's evil to choose evil. So God is evil, right?
It seems
is-
like according to what you believe, yes.
Okay. Do you understand God?
It doesn't matter. This is just an internal critique to you.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm not going to speak for God. I mean, I'm not God or anything, so I can't tell you exactly why God wills and what he doesn't will. That's God.
Yeah,
He's
I
the
mean,
creator.
I don't expect you to have an explanation why he chose.
You know,
evil.
why God? Let me text him and ask him, like, okay, why this, why that? So what God does, him being the creator, which you don't believe he is, but
You understand why doesn't matter to what I'm pointing out, right?
right,
Yeah, because you said it's evil to choose evil.
right. So God
and
is
he,
evil,
and he chose it.
right?
Right.
So God is evil, right?
I guess so.
Okay.
That's what you're telling me. That's the logical consequence.
No,
of the
that's
things
what you're
telling me.
telling me because you brought me
No.
there. So
No,
could
I'm
you
just
choose
telling you the
evil to
logical
choose evil?
consequence.
So you drive me down the path to say, oh, well, then if evil is evil, if you choose evil, then you're evil.
No, you said that. I asked you if that was the case.
I told you what I think.
Yeah, you said choosing evil was evil. Am I incorrect?
Choosing evil is evil, yeah.
Okay. Did God know everything before he made the world?
Sure did.
Does God ever do things he doesn't want to do? Or does he just do things he wants to do?
He'll do whatever he wants to do.
Okay. And did God make this world?
I believe he did.
Okay, so he chose this world knowing what it would be,
Uh-huh.
so he chose evil.
No.
Right? Does that
We
follow?
chose it.
Seems
We
like it
chose
follows.
No. No, that would mean that you had nothing to do with it.
No, everyone could have everything to do with it. I'm just saying he chose it.
Well, then if he had nothing to do with it and you chose
No, I
it,
didn't say nothing. He clearly chose. It
And what
could have
he-
been all parties involved.
right. And
That doesn't
whatever
make that doesn't make evil less evil.
All right, let's clarify one thing. Like I asked Jay, do you believe in free will? Just so we know where we stand here.
Yeah, he needs an out, Jay.
Jay, yeah. Jay said he doesn't. Do you believe in free will?
I believe in free will.
Yes.
No, I don't
don't.
believe in determinism either.
Right. That's where you come to your conclusions, because you're missing one
Okay.
crucial component. Now,
What are you talking about? My argument stands whether free will exists or it's determinism. It doesn't matter.
No, it has a big part to do with it.
Okay.
And you're
So
saying because
the
it was there-
premises, God does what he wants. God knows everything in advance. God creates the world. The world has evil in it, so God chose evil. They could have free will. They could be completely determined. The conclusion would be exactly the same.
it would be the same. In other words, it's
He
like
chose it.
he chose it.
He
And how
chose
do
the
you-
world in which people with free will would be evil. He chose evil.
Hmm. So he's an evil god, right?
Well, you told me choosing evil was evil, so it seems like, according to you, yes.
Is that why? What? You're an atheist?
No, I'm not even an atheist.
What are you?
I'm a metatheonosicist.
And what is that?
It really doesn't matter. I'll tell you afterwards. I mean, are you done with this? I mean, do you accept the logical consequences of what you believe?
I accept what I believe, and you accept what you believe.
But
yeah,
why would
yeah,
you
that's
accept?
true.
Why would you accept? But why would you accept God as an all good God if it's already been shown logically that God can't be an all good God?
Well, that's because you guys think that it's been proven that God is not an all good God.
No,
Well-
you said choosing evil was evil. That wasn't us. That was
could you-
you.
Yeah. Could you tell me, like, what God thinks? What this, what that? Do you know anything about God? The
That's
Father?
not important to
No,
the argument.
That's not. No, none at all.
Not important to the argument at all. Doesn't even matter.
Can you
if I'm
tell us?
going-
Can you tell us? Can you tell us what God thinks?
Nope.
You
But
can't.
I know he's good.
How?
Why do you call him evil?
Oh, I don't call him evil. You do.
Well, no, you just said choosing evil was evil.
That's right. I
If you
did.
don't know what he thinks, how can you tell whether or not he's good or evil?
Did God not choose to make this world?
Well, you're kind of saying, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. You're kind of saying, like, knowing is also causation, and the outcome would have been the same.
No, I'm not saying knowing is causation.
So what caused it? Let's talk about what caused
But
it.
it doesn't say everything that happened
Yes.
is what caused it.
Everything that happened is what caused it. Whatever
Yeah.
it is, right?
Yeah,
Isn't-
yeah.
If God,
Including
is,
the
if
choosing
God is the first,
of it.
if God is the first cause, and God caused, and God chose to introduce evil into His creation, how is that not cause? That goes with the Kalam cosmological argument. God is the first cause, so God is the first unmoved mover. He makes everything the way it is. He chooses to imply or chooses evil within His creation. How is that not evil?
Not evil, because you don't understand God that way, and we know that God's not evil.
How do
Wait,
you
then
know
why-
that God is not evil?
Wait. Then
Well,
why would you call him evil?
we Christians know that God's not evil.
How
Wait,
do you?
Well, because he said before something God did was evil.
Yeah.
No, that's what he says. God doesn't create evil that way.
No. I asked you.
Okay, I said, is it
choosing
possible?
evil, and you said yeah.
Is it possible that, like I said to Jay, that if you disobey his commandments, he will allow the circumstance? Is that possible? So was it there before, or did it come about? Is that a possibility?
Did he choose the world in which you made the
You're not
decision?
answering my question. Could it come about the minute you disobey and say, okay,
Oh yeah,
well,
yeah.
now,
I just need a
as a-
clarifying question to answer your question.
as a punishment, you will now this, and this.
Well, see, I'm doing an internal critique to your world, so I have to ask a clarifying question because I can't read your mind. Did God choose that world where you made that decision?
You're clinging to the same old thing, and I'm going to say the same old thing.
No.
Not getting
You're gonna say
anywhere.
no?
We're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you're spinning your wheels. Everything you say, whenever you give a definitive statement,
Right.
makes God look evil.
Everything I say makes God look evil.
Every time you give a clear answer.
Mm-hmm.
So did God make that world where that person made that decision?
No.
No, he didn't make that world.
He made the world.
Oh, he made the world.
Gave you free will.
Okay.
Even the angels had free will.
Yeah.
And that's
Did
it.
he know?
And
Did he know?
and-
Wait. Did he know what choice that person would make?
well, do you know what his punishments would have been prior to whatever we read?
It literally doesn't matter. It could be all the punishments.
Well, we don't know then that if evil existed from the beginning.
I'm not even saying that. I'm not even asking that.
That's what I was saying with Jay.
Okay. But did God choose that world where that person made that choice?
Again, choose free will. You do it on your own. Has
Sure.
nothing to
Yeah,
do with
that
God.
person made that choice. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Mhm.
But did God choose that world?
No, we did.
We chose. So he didn't know.
Oh, he's all knowing. I already told you that.
Okay, so he knew that was going to happen.
didn't
What
cause it.
choice was going to be made, and then he made the world.
Now, are you asking me that he knew what decisions we would make?
Well, if he doesn't know, then he's not all knowing, is he?
Exactly. So he knows.
Yeah, so he knows what choices we're going to make.
Sure.
Yeah, and he knew that when he made the world.
And he knew that when he made the world.
So he chose those choices to exist.
No, again, you're twisting it. We chose what in the conditions.
I totally agree. Those aren't contradictory.
Okay.
Just
And of
because
course, and if he knew,
just because we make a choice doesn't mean he didn't make a choice.
okay, so then if we make the choices, knowing we're going to make those choices, hence why also in a lot of scriptures and verses we read, not all. He wills all to be saved, but not all will be saved. See, he knows that, right?
Sure, yeah.
So
that
we
must be
can
the
go-
world he chose.
Well, no, not the world he chose.
No, he knew, right?
How could he
If he
not
knows,
choose
Again, you're going with
not the world
knowing.
that he chose? Whoa, 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 hold the phone. How could he choose a world that's not of his making? How does a state of
It's called
affairs
free
exist
will.
without
It's called free will.
that?
Knowing
We
what's
already went.
in-
No, you're basically you're bringing into the fabric of the
Mhm,
system
mhm.
things that can basically happen without God being the necessary primary for. How are you doing that? What is the necessary primary for the things that are coming within the creation that's corrupting it?
Well, what do you mean? I don't get it.
Well, how does these other things actually happen if there
What
isn't an
makes-
ontological primary that brings them about?
So he created this.
Correct. So he would create all states of affairs, and within all states of affairs, so he creates the state of affairs where you have a tree and there's fruit on it that contains the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, and then he tells Adam and Eve, don't eat of that shit. And so in order for it to be evil for them to eat of that tree,
Who said
They
it's
have-
evil? Wait, back up. Who said it's evil?
is
You're-
disobedience evil?
Well, define evil.
Is disobedience, well, there's the knowledge of good and evil. What is the knowledge of good and evil according to the Bible?
A disconnection from God, disobedience.
How does anything under the ontological primary have any disconnection from it in any logical sense? If everything is of it, how can anything be separate of it
Well,
in any real way? Everything is of that thing. So how can anything be separate of it in any way? It would ontologically all be part of it automatically. It would only be by some kind of rudimentary subjective state of that entity to say, well, I don't approve of the things that you're doing. So now I'm saying you're not going to be a part of me in some other aspect of this reality that I've created. But he still had to create all of that reality in which all that can occur.
he created
just
all
that.
the reality.
not all that. He had to create the reality in which it would occur because that's
Exactly.
what happened.
Yes,
Well, so he's the causation.
correct.
Well, I mean,
He's
he
the-
did make the universe. It's the original
He's the
cause.
thing. Yeah, if he's the first cause, then he's the cause of all causes
Okay.
ontologically.
Not only that, he chose outcomes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course that goes against free will, right? So,
No.
if he chose it, then you have no choice.
No.
He chose
Just because you make a choice, that doesn't erase his choice.
Mhm.
So your choice will be pushed to the side, and his will be put forth,
No. I exist in a world in which God chose
right?
the choices I make. He was like those,
Yeah,
and,
no,
and then I made the choice.
yeah, no, I don't
Yeah.
think so.
So God doesn't know what I'm going to do.
God knows what you're going to do.
Okay, so he chose that world, right?
No.
So he didn't choose. So this world we're in right now, where I made the choices that he didn't choose,
No,
that's like a different world.
you chose it.
Yeah, I'm not
But you
saying
not
can only
him.
choose it within
He
that.
knows you're going to choose. He knows what you're
Yeah.
going to choose, right?
Yeah, and then he
But
chose
he
to
does
make
it-
the world.
But again, you got to understand, you are the cause, not him.
I am the micro cause. I am the thing before the last step.
Just because he
I
knows,
would
let's say,
not
you're
be
gonna.
here. Wait, I would not be here and making this choice unless
I need
this
to
world.
I need to get my blackboard up
made.
so I can do a Venn diagram.
Yeah.
Do like what Mike does on Answers in Atheism. Do a Venn diagram so that they can actually see it. Kind of like your little thing that you did with Jill and existence.
Yeah.
So they can actually see what it is for if you have nothing and everything that is from this one is, or this one thing that is God, then all things that are necessarily come from that one thing. There can't be any other things outside of whatever it dictates all things to be. It's a primary ontology. It's the one being that is the necessity for all other beings or all other conceptualizations, all other. It doesn't matter if it's metaphysical, methodological. It doesn't matter. Everything that can be is only what it can be and what it is as it's instantiated and sustained by that one entity.
Yeah, like there's for argument's sake, there's infinite possible worlds. God chose this one and made it. He knew the entire history of it. So he chose this. If he didn't choose this, we'd have a totally different one.
Mm-hmm. And obviously there is a world, there seems to be a reality in which this stuff isn't going to be occurring, according to some Christians, where we're all going to end up either in heaven or some kind of resurrected earth or some kingdom here where nobody does any of this stuff anyway. So all of this is for just basically a playground, and whether or not human beings can actually demonstrate their ability to not do the evil things, then the only way that they can do evil things is because God is the necessary sustainer, or instantiator and sustainer of all evil things that they can and cannot do. It all starts with one. It's literally the buck stops here, pal. That's all it is.
Doesn't stop here for me, but
no, it would stop there with God. God is the primary cause. You can't have any other things without God. So how can you have evil? How can you have evil without God?
Yeah, how can you have evil without him choosing the world with evil in it?
Or even conceptualizing it. Like how does he even utilize it, right? It's kind of like how does the video game creator of GTA 5 even think to write in the video game about, like I said before, purchasing the prostitute, having sex with the prostitute, beating up the prostitute, taking the money from the prostitute, and then running over the prostitute and hauling ass. The only way that can happen is if the video game creator thought it up.
Yeah, I mean, if God's like essentially all powerful, he can choose what he wants, and he knows it. He knows everything. Even if I have free will, he could have picked a universe where I ate watermelon for dinner instead of tacos.
I think Missing Mod is starting to have a fucking crisis of conscience right now.
You're a Calvinist, aren't you? X.
Who? No,
You.
I'm a metatheonosicist.
No, I think you're a Calvinist.
Okay.
Who else doesn't
don't
believe in free will? Well,
Wait, I'm saying in that scenario, people have free will. How are you getting that I don't believe in free will?
Yeah, he granted free will.
he can say it.
And even under
But what he's saying, What
But
he's
even
saying
other,
is very
but even
Calvinistic.
even lots of Calvinists still hold to compatibilism, because it's only once the Holy Spirit takes control, or basically comes in and basically eradicates, because of what do they call that, absolute, what do they call that, it's absolute depravity. So once the Holy Spirit is the thing that basically conquers the free will. Because once a person chooses and the free will actually comes in, then the concept of depravity, absolute depravity, starts to basically be relinquished, and then they start to actually show the fruits of their regeneration in the Holy Spirit by what it is that they do. But it doesn't change the fact that they didn't have free will choices before. It's just that their ability to freely choose the Holy Spirit actually isn't a thing. They can make all sorts of free will choices, but Calvinists don't think that any way that you come to Christ is through a free will choice. That has to be done through the Holy Spirit.
Actually, no, that's not what they think.
Yeah, I've talked to Calvinists. Some of them do hold to that. Yes.
Some of them, yeah. There's so many different.
There's not full. There's some Calvinists who don't hold to tulip. There's some Calvinists that kind of placate to some form of compatibilism, but they do kind of like like if you talk to Saitem Bruggencate, he's a Calvinist, and he pleads with non-believers to seek repentance, which is in some Calvinist minds completely heretical, because it's not on them to seek repentance. Repentance can only happen once the Holy Spirit takes hold and causes that regeneration of the Holy Spirit in order for repentance to actually take place. They would just be faking the funk. They can choose to do it. They can say, okay, all right, Sai, I'll do that. I'll do it. I'll repent. But it doesn't mean it doesn't actually mean it's actually taken hold ontologically. It's just them playing a game.
Do you guys think
because there's a difference between what one says and what is?
So, do you believe that God forces every event?
No.
Well, you don't believe in God.
I don't believe in God, but under the ontology, under this particular ontology, God is the necessary cause for all things. So it's not really a matter of force. It's just a matter of what it is that he's played, whatever it is that he's laid out.
Yeah, there's no force. He just chose one.
You're just an NPC in a game where you think that you have certain choices, but all your choices are still basically written for by God. And the only way that you have your quote unquote choices is only based on the idea that the reality that God has basically written for, in order for you to kind of go, yeah, I can do that. And oh, no, I won't do that. Because if I don't do that, then if I do that, that might be seen bad in God's eyes. And the only way that can happen is if there's those things that you can choose to do that would be seen as, that you would believe to be seen as bad in God's eyes. Which means he wrote for it.
Yeah. And just because he wrote for it and knows what you're going to choose doesn't mean you're not choosing it.
Right.
Yeah. That's why having free will is a counter to him choosing it.
Mm-hmm. Because he automatically chose everything to begin with, because he's the ontological primary. And on a Venn diagram, that would be like you start with one singular circle that is God, and from that circle, from that one thing, comes everything else.
Well, look, I will give you an easy out on this. I don't think choosing let's say a micro evil means that something is evil, because there are good reasons to do bad things. So if you kept all the other premises, but you put my morality to it, I wouldn't think your God was evil.
Well, yeah, and then there's some people who hold to the idea that natural evils, quote unquote natural evils, like suffering, right? Those can lead to good things, right? Like if people are succumb to a disaster and how it brings people together and strengthens their faith in God, then those natural evils, quote unquote, are a good thing.
Yeah. If you go even farther and just go, God's the arbiter of the moral weight of all decisions, right? It might actually not be evil. He might have chosen that those particular things aren't actually evil.
Yeah.
And certain other things are, or well, there's certain things aren't actually evil. He just made us to think they are.
The other
So
thing
then
is,
he's still, so then he's still good.
yeah, and the other thing is just basically you could reconcile this as being evil gets rendered when it comes to an all good God, and whether or not there is actually things that are evil. Maybe evil is being rendered to a modal collapse where evil isn't actually a thing. It's just states of affairs that can and cannot be. But what we determine as evil, or what we say is evil, is whatever God doesn't want us to do. But God has to actually write for the states of affairs that we can do that would be considered not approved by him. So the fact that he wrote for those is kind of a problem, right? This is kind of goes back to like what I was talking about, where the person who's committing an evil feels a certain way about it. And God would have to necessarily know what it is to feel that way. God has to know what it is to feel unrighteous. So can God actually be righteous? No.
I wish more Christians would use the moral weight argument. It would solve so many problems.
Which one?
The one where, since God's determining everything, he actually gets to determine what the moral weight of things are. Right? And just because you think it's evil, that doesn't make it evil. He could have chose from the beginning that thing to happen and it not be evil.
Mm-hmm. And that's only if he's coming from an outside standard, as though there's some outside standard for what is evil that he's basically making his particular determination on. Whereas with my argument, it all starts with him, and he's just thinking this all up from the jump, because he's the start of it all.
Anyway, can I get showed real quick? I have that meme that explains metatheognosticism.
Oh, you want me to
just real quick?
That? Yeah, right there.
I can explain it more, but I think that encapsulates it.
Wheat, water, cheese, tomatoes, garlic, etc. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The theist looks at it and says spaghetti cake. The atheist looks at it and says lasagna, and the metatheognosticist knows better. He knows all of the information. He's not doing some bullshit like shorthand where it causes confusion and logical errors. And importantly, to the atheist and theist, the metatheognosticist might be identified as either one to them.
I like spaghetti cake.
Yeah. Spaghetti cake. Okay.
Well, I needed another name for lasagna.
Spaghetti cake. Now, bear in mind, not all spaghetti is made with a meat marinara. Sometimes it's just a marinara sauce or a good tomato sauce mixed in with put over top of the pasta with some meatballs.
I haven't had lasagna in forever.
How dare you? You're Italian.
I know, right?
Do you know any Italian?
What?
Do you know how to speak the language?
See, sono law. This is a movie. That's CGI.
Is that the extent of what you know?
No.
Movie, that's CGI.
That is funny. Well, usually, you're in the States, right?
Yeah.
So, like, usually the ethnics that came over usually don't know their language. They understand it, like, but they can't speak it. I don't know why, but
I've met some Spanish people that the way they were raised, they can hear it, they can understand it perfectly fine, but they don't speak it very well.
yeah. I find that weird. Like, you don't know the mother tongue, you know?
Well, they know it, they just can't speak it.
Yeah, like they understand, but they can't speak. So
Yeah,
we'll learn how to speak.
it's kind of like people being able to speak English but not being able to read it. It's kind of interesting.
Right.
I remember having
Well,
that
I came here when I was.
remember having
Go
that
ahead.
conversation with Praise where he insisted that if someone can read, if someone can speak, then they have to be able to read. It was fun.
Yeah, that's not really how that.
That was, yeah, I was like,
works.
oh, great. So people that can speak aren't necessarily illiterate. Cool.
So how long have you had your channel, Jay?
20 years.
Wow. 20 years. No, not quite. Since like Oh, 2017, maybe 2018, I think.
Oh yeah.
Didn't you delete it and have to restart or?
No, it got yeeted. I had to fight to get it back.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
May 5th, 2018.
Well,
yeah.
that actually might have been when it was restarted. That might have been when it was.
No, that's when you joined. That's when you joined.
Yeah, but that might be actually when it was brought back, because when Praise's channel was yeeted and then he came back, he fought it, and his channel was brought back. It changed the origin time.
Mm-hmm.
And
You find it
only
difficult,
got
like the-
yeeted once.
My channel was deleted once. Yeah, I had to fight it, and I got
Shame
it back.
on YouTube.
I don't even remember what it was. I don't even remember what it was yeeted for anymore, because I asked them and they wouldn't give me a straight, and then I talked to Steve and Steve's like, yeah, I would fight it. And then I ended up fighting it and then I got it back.
Yeah, you never get a straight answer.
Yeah. But I got my channel back. But the date that you're reading might be the date that it came back. Because I started getting involved in these conversations probably right back around 2017, because that was when the first time I was ever on a live stream was with Steve McRae and Nicola.
Are you finding it hard to grow?
I don't really care.
Yeah.
I never really tried to. I would just do this for my own giggles, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with my channel. I put stuff up, touching on certain conversations, topics, debunking, other theologies, and actually even within our faith, people who are heading in the wrong direction.
Well, out of curiosity, when it comes to your theories of salvation, which do you hold to, conditional salvation or OSAS?
I'm Orthodox.
Okay, does Orthodox hold to once saved, always saved, or conditional salvation?
No, not at all.
What do they hold to?
It's an ongoing process. In other words, it's not a once saved, once you believe and you accept. No.
Oh, so it is conditional. Okay.
Yes.
It's conditional based on how you proceed and how you maintain yourself within the faith.
Well, within your free will, do what you want.
Yeah, that's conditional. Yep, that's conditional
yeah.
salvation. Yeah, you should go over to Praise's channel sometime and have a conversation with them. They're all a lot of them are OSASers over there. They love to rip on conditional salvationists.
Oh yeah.
It sounds bad when you phrase it like that, though.
What's that, rip on?
No, the conditional salvation thing. The way you were, like, the tone of voice and how you were presenting was like, yeah, sometimes God sucks.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, I agree with Benghazi. I wouldn't punish Mr. Sandman and send him over to Praises.
Why not?
That's harsh.
Why?
Well, I didn't say anything about sending him over there. I was just saying, hey, if you want to have some interesting conversations based on you being an Orthodox Christian.
But is he
the nicest of people? They're
What's
just
that?
not the nicest of people.
Oh no, they will eat other Christians. Like, I mean, they're worse with other Christians than they are with non-believers.
They
What do they
will
hold?
make at least 10 to 15 very childish shorts about you. You go there.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean very childish.
Well, that's Praise, not they, but Praise. Praise likes to do that.
Well, okay.
What do they believe?
If they hold to over Praise, if you're not in agreement with once saved, always saved, then you're pretty much a heretic and you're speaking some kind of like heretical gospel. You're leading Christians astray, right? So if it's about you thinking that you have to basically conform your life in a particular way and adhere to certain dogmatic principles and stuff like that in order to achieve some kind of grace or some kind of salvation with God at the end, yeah, they definitely do not hold to that at all. It's either once you're convinced that God has convinced you or God has saved you, and you have honestly repented, then you are moved from the category of being condemned to the category of being saved, and that's it. You're saved.
Really?
That's all there is.
Yeah.
It sounds like
Say
the that channel, the seminary. Is that the one?
If you like people to shout at
Layman's
you erratically,
Seminary?
then
Layman,
go on
yeah,
Praise's
Layman's
channel.
Seminary.
Yeah, he frequents over there.
Yeah, they,
frequents
they
over-
also think the same way.
Yeah, Layman Seminary. Yeah, he's been over on. I think he was actually, that particular individual was key to convincing or changing Praise's position, because Praise used to hold to conditional salvation, and then he changed to OSAS because enough people, jumped on him, and then he just said, "Oh, okay, I believe in that."
Right. Yeah, I think I've been to their channel like a few times, and I pointed out a few verses, and they just twist the verses around. And
Yeah, if you're Jamie Russell and you go over there as a Seventh-day Adventist, man, you get treated like a fucking redheaded stepchild. Holy shit, that poor guy.
yeah, I know how they think. But again, I mean, all due respect, I mean, we can't argue with people who don't understand the theology. And what are we going to do? We're just
Not
gonna
always. Well, a lot of that theology is laced with a lot of dogmatism, which is where it becomes complicated.
There's a lot
Whereas
of
the
things.
narrative reading, like a strict narrative reading into it, isn't always necessarily laced with dogmatism.
If you go to Praise's channel as Jay, he might show up at your door and shoot at you.
No, he said only if I stepped on his yard would he blow me away.
No, he said that if he had the chance to come see you, he would shoot you.
No,
too.
he never said that. If he did, I wasn't there for it.
Yes, he said that on the show where I was on.
Oh, he did? Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
He was my
A
first.
long,
He was my
long
first
time
death
ago.
threat. He was my first death threat on YouTube. He told me he would blow my fucking head off.
Yeah.
That was fucking great.
Well, I mean, that's not really a death threat, right? I mean,
Well, he said if I ever see you, I'll fucking blow your fucking head off.
yeah, I think if you give Praise a gun and he would pull the trigger, he would more likely blow his own head off.
It'd be like something
where to
from
point
Warner
it.
Brothers. It'd be like where the shotgun shoots back and blows his beak off or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Praise is a bit of a cartoon in my opinion.
He's a cartoon on my secondary channel.
Your secondary, not your tertiary.
No, my secondary. My gonna go for some more channel that has the Photoshop and the whole thing. The Photoshop that I made because he threatened you. Remember?
That was fun.
The sheriff and the assless chaps.
Yep. He's a nice.
I still listen to
He's
that
a nice
every once
guy.
in a while.
I
if
really,
need-
I don't
need
even know
something
how
to
I.
cheer me up.
I don't even know how I deserved that. That was because freaking Nicola decided to fucking poke the bear. Fucking Nicola.
And what about you, Peter? You said you were Christian before.
No, he said he was never
No,
religious.
I've never been Christian. I come from
Have you
a
ever been-
country that is 80% plus either identifying as atheist or non-believer.
Yeah, that's what we were saying over at Mod's channel. But you've never been exposed to it at all.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
When I was in the army, I had a fundamentalist Christian superior.
Right.
Reese 2.0 says Charlie Kirk is this generation's okay. What the fuck? I'm sorry. Maybe it's too soon, but that's
What's funny?
Charlie Kirk is this generation's NLK. Okay. All right. A civil rights activist. Charlie Kirk being compared to a civil rights activist. That's hilarious.
Let me ask you guys, what is your opinion on that? Like, what do you think they took him out? Like, do you think this is an
No,
inside
I'm not
job?
gonna do this on this channel. No.
Yeah,
Because that's a good way to get yeeted from YouTube.
Is it? Yeah. Okay.
Wait, can
Yeah.
I give a conspiracy theory on it?
Yeah. Okay. So for the sake of speculation, we're going to be speculating on this YouTube. So calm your fucking.
Yeah, this isn't about it being right or wrong or anything. I have a conspiracy.
Okay.
So
Let's just not say any names. That way the algorithm doesn't pick up.
I won't say his name. How about that?
Right.
There's names here. There's a lot. I don't think I can keep track of everything if I use no names.
Victim X. All right.
You make your victim X. Okay, so a day and a half. Was it? Actually, I need to go farther back. About a week before this, Poland tells all of its citizens it needs to leave Belarus. Then it closes its border to Belarus. Then a couple days later, there's announcements that satellites has spot like 100,000 Russian soldiers grouping up inside Russia. And then just a few hours, like early in the morning before the sun comes up in America, all those drones and missiles go over into Poland. And then that morning, Victim X is killed by someone, right? At least so far it seems like could actually it would kind of instigate a civil war. At the very least, it would really heavily distract America, and it would dominate in the news cycle, so Americans wouldn't pay attention to the World War III starting.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, it's really convenient timing.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually saw a video of him, an actually unclipped video. It was a short of him actually getting hit in the neck.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, he got pegged pretty good. And then it was interesting because I was on Axios and they had a video. This isn't something I can get booted for because it's out there on Axios, and somebody actually had video and they think that they caught on the video. They have a circle and there's a person on top of the building of the can't remember that center. It's there on the campus, running, taking off.
The FBI released photos of the guy.
Yeah, you saw that?
No, they don't have a suspect.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they released the photos of the guy that run from the building and down the stairs and out back through the woods. Yeah.
Oh, they do. When did they release that? Because they had that older guy, George Zinn, but
that was yesterday. This was like,
according to Kash Patel, they had 2 suspects, and then upon interrogation found out nothing.
See, it's 8 o'clock my time now, so it was less than 8 hours ago is when I saw it. Yeah, the director of the FBI released the photos. This wasn't just some random person releasing the photos.
Oh, the person. Oh, okay. 7 minutes ago, AP News. FBI releases photos of interest in Charlie Kirk's assassination. Yeah, he's a younger guy.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying the guy who shot him was an expert, because it was only like 100. It was like 200 yards or less. Right. Anyone with that gun that they found, with the basic scope and like 20 minutes of training on how to zero a scope, could make that shot. Right. So just that it could have bought the gun, could have watched a YouTube video. That's all you would have needed.
What's that? Say again. I'm sorry. My wife was telling me something.
I'm saying the shooter didn't have to be an expert. He wasn't like a trained assassin or something.
No,
the shot wasn't that far. With the weapon that he had.
Yeah, I could shoot. Yeah, I as someone being in the military and having been in armed security, yeah, shooting someone at 150 yards, I could have easily made that shot with iron sights. So if he had a scope or even an aim point with a 1.5 magnification, that's not a hard shot with just a day of practice, half a day.
Basically, the hardest part of that shot would have been zeroing the scope before you went.
Mm-hmm.
It might have actually been easier to not even use the scope.
Yeah, and it's as long as you zeroed it for yourself, 150 yards, given the angle, yeah, probably not. It's not a hard. It doesn't take an expert shooter to do that. Competent shooter, sure. Expert, no.
Yeah, not like the guy that went after Trump, who's just Just oh my gosh, like he
Pathetic.
he didn't even try. Like you can just look at what he did. It's like, oh my god, you didn't think about this at all, did you?
Well, but my thing is that whoever this person was, I mean, they hit and then they ran. Like they knew they hit their mark and then they ran.
Yeah,
They
the
got
person.
the
I
fuck
think
out.
they were smart. They were
Yeah.
they were a smart crazy person.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of
I-
crazy things going on.
Unlike the other guy who just kind of fumbled into
In
getting a
in
shot.
America, you have to be smart to shoot someone and then acknowledge that you did something bad, and now you have to run away.
But according,
That's
but
a
acco-
very low bar.
but
to
according
get away. To get away.
Well, yeah. Well, well, according to Charlie Kirk, some kids have to die in order to preserve the Second Amendment. He was actually quoted as saying something
the
similar.
the
to that.
blood of tyrants and patriots. Everyone forgets that. Both patriots and tyrants have to die, otherwise we lose our liberty.
Mhm. The Second Amendment's always kind of fascinated me, though. But that's a different topic. It's like, oh yeah, you have the right to bear arms. Yeah, but do you have the right to get one? No, you actually don't. You think
Yeah, you
about
do.
it. No, actually, you don't. You
They
really
do.
don't have the right.
No, they already decided that. The
I've-
Supreme
I've
Court
just-
said that if you don't have the right to get one, there's no point in having them.
Yeah, but does it
I
really
still
change?
think that
Does it
people
really
are
change
misreading the
capitalist view?
Second Amendment.
Yeah, because you have the enumerated rights, right? And then there's a bunch of logical necessities to have those rights, and those are called
Yeah,
the
but it-
unenumerated rights.
Yeah, I don't understand how that works though, because realistically, any firearm that you purchase is the private property of someone else, and that person as a
Yeah.
private property owner doesn't necessarily have to sell you their property because they are the
Oh, right, that's
owner of
right.
that.
You don't have the right to take someone's something.
Yeah, but they don't
Yeah.
have the right to. But you don't have the right to buy it from a person either, just because that person's
No,
selling
that's
it.
that's an
doesn't mean they
unenumerated right. That's implied by the Second Amendment.
Oh,
Look,
so
let's
what-
put it this way. Let's put it this way. If you want to know the original intent of the Second Amendment, we have correspondence between the founding fathers and just a bunch of random people asking them questions. One of which was, "Does the Second Amendment protect my right to have long guns on my ship?" By that I mean artillery. They replied yes. Right? So you have the right to own a ship with enough cannons on it to flatten a town because of the Second Amendment. So, like, the whole guy can't buy it. Yeah, no, you can buy it. Like,
Yeah, see, like here's the former U.S. Supreme Court Chief Justice Warren Burger believed the idea of an individual right to bear arms under the Second Amendment was a quote unquote fraud, and that the amendment's purpose was to secure the rights of states to form a militia. Burger argued that the right to own guns should be subject to regulations similar to how automobiles and boats are regulated without violating the Second Amendment. And
yeah,
he was, and he was a conservative justice.
that person, he just didn't know what a comma means.
What do you mean? And the right to in the Second Amendment?
Yeah, the Second Amendment doesn't actually guarantee any rights to a militia.
Oh no, I don't think it does either.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is actually a really good book.
Also, just saying, most states' constitutions, it's written into the Constitution what would constitute what body a militia is from. Right, and most states basically list healthy men between the ages of 16 and some of them don't have a cap, but someone's like 50 or 60 or something. So if you just said it was the right of the militia, all you would do would take guns away from women and old people. But if the founding father says you can own artillery, like,
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I just saw here. The ability to purchase a firearm is not explicitly enumerated in the U.S. Constitution, but it is considered an essential component of the enumerated right to keep and bear arms. The Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution protects the right to possess firearms for purpose such as self-defense. That the Supreme Court has affirmed this individual right while also recognizing that it is not unlimited, and it can be subject to regulations, particularly regarding the commercial sale of firearms. So yeah, there is no right to purchase. You have
No,
no
there-
actual right to purchase a gun.
no, there is a right to purchase. They can put intervening steps, right? They can charge you a tax. Essentially, every single gun law, that limits someone's ability to buy a gun, that's made it to the Supreme Court has been overturned.
Yeah, but I don't even understand how, under this particular country's position on capitalism, how and the way that we view private property, how one could ever even have the ability to have the right to purchase. Because even if you have, let's just say you have Smith and Wesson, right, and they own the means in production, right, and they're buying their materials, right, and they're buying those materials from other places, and they're manufacturing firearms, and then they choose who you're not guaranteed as a firearm salesman to be able to buy Smith and Wesson firearms, right? It's up to them ultimately whether or not they wish to have their firearms sold at your store, right? And then so you can buy them at wholesale price, and then once you buy them and then you sell them in your store, then people can come in and then they can possibly purchase that firearm. But ultimately, the store owner has purchased the private property of Smith and Wesson. Those firearms have become the private property of that particular store. So, it's kind of weird to me to say that.
Buying isn't. Well, the thing is, buying isn't theft.
Oh, I never said.
So, in order to buy, there has to be a selling.
Correct.
Right? So having the right to buy doesn't mean you have the right to take. You have the right to buy what is being sold.
Yes, but you don't have the right to actually obtain it. Just because you have the right to purchase doesn't mean that you have the ability, just doesn't mean that the person that you wish to have the right to buy from has to acquiesce to that sale.
Yeah, because the right to buy is just the right to buy what is sold.
Yeah, but they don't have to sell it if they don't want to.
Then it's not for sale.
Because here in California, everybody has the right to be able, every business has the ability to basically tell someone to fuck off if they don't want to sell to them.
Yeah, but I'm not saying the issue, because if you take something that isn't sold, then it's not buying.
I get that. That's what I'm talking about.
I don't know what the problem is.
No, I don't understand what taking had to do with anything, because if we're talking about the legal possession of a firearm and your right to bear arms, okay, so let's look at the right to bear arms. If you have arms, you have the right to bear them. But now we have to look at how does one obtain the arms in which one has the right to bear, right? And the only way that you can do that is by either making them yourself or by purchasing them from someone else. And if you're purchasing them from someone else, like a gun dealer, or from a gun store, that is actually under the law the legal private property of that store.
Yeah.
So the only way that they're able to purchase that is if that private citizen who owns those firearms is willing to sell you that particular firearm.
Yeah, I don't know what the problem is.
Well, taking had nothing to do. Theft and taking.
You're asking. It seemed like you were confused about the right to buy it. But buying implies it's being sold. But if you take something,
because something
without that it's something that's not being sold, then you're not buying it.
Exactly. But so if I take a gun, do I have the right to bear arms of the thing that I took?
No, because your rights ends at other people's rights.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's my point. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
All right. Well, I've been on for 2 hours. I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. My wife and I are going to eat dinner and watch some Opiate of the Masses. It's TV for some of you fuckers. So anyway, thanks everybody for joining.
Wife was talking about earlier.
All right, JP.
Opium. All right. Thanks guys for joining. Thanks for the conversation. See you all later.
Later.